Right, are we ready?
We are ready, and I have an opening comment that I'm sure this was the first thing that in my head when I came out of the film.
Go on.
MODOK got done dirty.
In what way? Because I think, depending on what you're about to say, we might be about to disagree.
We don't get to see him again.
Okay, yeah, no, that I want. You knew that was my
Yes.
one of my main concerns, that they
Yes.
just kill him off and waste him.
I came out and I was like,
His characterization during the film
yes.
was exactly what I wanted.
Oh, that's why I mean he got done dirty in the sense of
yeah,
they
he was
nailed
basically
MODOK.
perfect, and then they just fucking threw him away.
Yeah, he just got thrown away, which I'm very much gutted about, and I knew you would be. And but overall, the way I know, I saw some people going, the VFX on MODOK are jank. But then I also saw people going, well, no, it's Uncanny Valley because you haven't seen someone with a fat fucking head and tiny arms and legs. Like, that's just not something your brain can process.
I think it looked fine.
One
thing I wish they would have changed slightly, and don't get me wrong, I get why they didn't, was they kept obviously the actor's face proportions the same. Yeah, so it still looked like a face, it just looked bigger. Whereas MODOK, his face kind of is distorted, his mouth and his eyes got a lot bigger, but his nose didn't grow equally.
I get
so
you.
Like, he doesn't look like MODOK in that sense, but it would have looked stupid in a film to have
I think it would
his
have been harder
face
to do.
no longer be in proportion. Because instead they've had to just blow up his head essentially and make that work.
Yeah,
but if they started to change the way his face looks,
Mm-hmm.
there's more chance for it to look like shit.
Exactly. And I do actually think there's a couple of like really close-up moments, like when he at the end when he shoves his face through the Kang shield and we get a really good close. That looks great. And it's definitely one of those things where, as with all Marvel films, there's certain shots they've spent more time on. But I think overall, MODOK was great. The way he looked, the fact that like we got the arms and legs, and like that was a concern that we both had, that like they maybe would change.
Yeah.
But like, I pretty much exactly as the theory was, he got crushed down into a weird shape. Kang found him. Kang turned him into. I love the mention of machine only
mechanized organism designed only for killing.
That was the first mention of him in that sense, and I was like, okay, they've stuck exactly with what the acronym stands for.
And I like the identity crisis for Darren Cross as well. He's like, no, I'm only answering to MODOK. Yes, they made him a bit cartoonish, but he's a bit of a silly character anyway.
Yeah.
So they just kind of steered into it. This guy's gone crazy down there.
Do you know what we didn't know we needed though?
Go on.
MODOK's ass.
That was a interesting choice.
It was just like, it was that thing where they started showing how he became what he was. And I was like, okay, and then they just showed him like being plucked naked. And I'm just like, okay, we got that.
It was an interesting decision.
But I overall, I loved what they did with MODOK. I just wish he wasn't gone. Like, it just feels like we said in our final predictions, like he makes for a great street level, like that lower level villain. They could have had and the fact that he went through a bit of a redemption arc in a way.
Yeah.
They could
have that play away with them bringing him back fine and thinking, okay, cool, he's not going to be a problem.
And then
then he just grows to resent everything again when he's actually not an Avenger.
Yeah, exactly. Like they set it up perfectly to keep it. But yeah, unfortunately, he got done dirty there by getting.
So I do have a couple of complaints.
Okay. See if they line up with some of my things.
Basically, everything after they leave the quantum realm and before the post-credit scenes, cut it. Don't need it. Bollocks.
Yeah.
I get they're trying to do like the whole full circle thing with it being like it was at the beginning, but everything's a little bit better now because they're closer. I get that. It didn't work. It was shit. It should have been left on the cutting room floor.
So on that, the only thing from that thing that I'm glad they kind of touched on was the idea that Scott was like, wait, did we get rid of Kang.
Okay, cool. I didn't hate that bit, but that kind of aligns up with my next issue.
Okay.
Scott shouldn't have made it out the fucking quantum realm.
Well, yeah. So this is something that is one of my things. Is it felt like Scott was meant to die, but then they copped out and didn't kill him.
So there is a rumor that apparently it went under some last minute edits, and initially Hope did come dive back into the quantum realm, but it wasn't they reopened the gate and she went back in. It was when she realized Scott wasn't following directly behind them,
She
she
died,
went back in,
and it's shut.
and then they couldn't reopen it.
Yeah. See
So then
this
Hope's gone back in there, and then Hope and Scott are trapped there.
see that's the thing. It's like there's a moment where I thought, okay, Scott dies here because he's like, I don't have to win, you just have to lose, and it's like that is like setting up for a perfect way of like a hero's end. Like they're saving the
Hmm.
day by just sacrificing themselves and whatever. And I was like, okay. But then it's like Hope comes back in. And I'm like, oh shit, Hope's come to save him. Okay, they're now trapped there together.
Yeah,
And Cassie's
they
gonna
get
get
to know.
taught by
They get to know that Cassie's safe, Kang's been stopped, and they get to live together in the quantum
and
realm
they'll
that they've
figure
now
out
liberated.
how to get out of it down the line again.
Yeah, they'll be able to come back a bit older and a bit wiser for the next big Avengers film.
That's what I thought was gonna happen. And then no, Cassie just
Yeah.
opens a portal. And I'm like, it's okay, fine. But that also now causes a bigger issue, in my opinion, of is it is it just easy for them to use the quantum realm now? Can they
Hmm.
just go back and forth at any time point? There's no time issues.
Okay, so here's the thing with that. That I think some people are maybe a bit confused by, and this is just my understanding. Maybe I'm also confused. Time travel through the quantum realm requires kind of falling through the quantum realm, which is why Scott being untethered and falling through the quantum realm resulted in him having that 5-year time jump. Whereas Janet didn't fall through the quantum realm; she landed in the quantum realm and then was stuck there.
Yeah. Okay.
That was my understanding.
Yeah, I could. So okay,
Because you've
maybe.
got like the different
Well,
levels where you're going down.
there's the time vortexes. So I'm guessing then, okay, in that sense, maybe because you've also got to look at the ants fell into the time vortex.
Yes, exactly. So
So
as they're
okay,
falling through, they've gone through the time dilation, whereas the Scott and that didn't.
yeah, and that time he went in and got
Yeah,
stuck there, he was
yeah,
falling
and
through.
that's what
Okay.
Tony's machine did in Endgame. It allowed them to direct themselves through it
Yeah.
so that they
Okay.
could have more control.
It.
That was my understanding of it. Don't get me wrong; it could have been explained a fuck ton better,
Yeah.
and maybe it's just copium from me. But that was my understanding of it.
No, that makes sense. I do think it's just like with the way of how they just suddenly so easily opened a portal. It's kind of like, well, what the fuck? After all
Yeah,
this like struggle with the quantum, Cassie then just opens a portal.
yeah.
Um,
One thing I will say that I absolutely loved after shitting on it a little bit:
well,
Cassie calling Hank granddad.
yes,
I don't know why. I fucking loved that.
yeah, that felt wholesome. And do you know
Yes.
the another thing I loved that also links with Hank is like the moment all the ants rocked up.
I was really hoping he'd have some kind of makeshift Ant-Man suit.
Yes, so this is my thing. It's like love that moment. Such a cool moment having all these fucking robot ants and ant tanks and fucking super fucking ants rock up, and it's Hank like has gathered them. I was like, they missed a trick. He could have been in some like sort of Ant-Man suit.
That they could have made him their version of an Ant-Man suit that could have been a little bit more like a
Quantum S.
comic, yeah, like a comic book accurate version that looks a bit janky because they've put it together for him, and you get that moment of Hank being Ant-Man.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I really wanted going into this film.
And yeah,
Um,
I feel like they
and
missed
they
a
also
slight
should
trick
have
there.
let him die. Like the fact that no one died is outrageous.
Yeah, no one dying and no one getting stuck in the quantum realm
And here was
is
my logical approach as to why it needed to be Scott or Hank. Janet got saved in the second one,
mhm,
so it made no sense for her to die or get lost because it doesn't feel like much of a loss for the fans.
yeah,
Um, Cassie obviously wasn't going to be sacrificed because she's the legacy character,
mhm,
and that leaves you with Hank, Scott, and Hope.
yeah,
Again, Hope has only really been a side character, so it would have made sense for them to choose her, but it wouldn't have necessarily been as potent.
yeah,
But then when you've got Paul Rudd, Michael Douglas, Ant Man, and Ant Man Jr., one of them passing can have a huge effect. And when they're starting off with Cassie calling him granddad at the beginning of the film,
mm.
it seemed right.
Here's what I think's happened. I think they maybe thought about killing Scott, and then they have kind of Marvel has had the mindset of, everyone's expecting us to just kill off all the old characters so that it makes way for the new characters. Maybe we shouldn't play into that. Like everyone's expecting this now. We
Mm,
can't
I
we
get that.
can't kill off everyone. They've changed their mind, but I don't know. Like just the way it was set up at the end is like it felt like they should have. I was like, okay, he hasn't died. Hope saved him. Okay, but they're stuck there now. And then it was like, no, a portal's open, everyone's fine. It's like, well, okay, I feel like we've just kind of copped out of a death or moment. Like you set it
Yeah.
up, and it would have hit perfectly, and it would have felt like as it should have like played out. And then it feels like you've just kind of gone, psych, we've saved them.
Yeah.
And then
100%.
yeah, the end bit is a bit weird. It's
It
like
felt like trying to pad the runtime.
it felt like they wanted to kind of, like you say, mirror the start, and then also it gave them a reason to add in that whole thing of Scott going, am I? But this kind of leads into an issue I felt with the film. I get Ant-Man is less serious and Scott Lang is less serious and a bit jokey. The tone at times felt very whiplash.
Or what, from really light to very dark very quickly.
Well, it'd be like it'd like ramp up getting serious about some topic, and then it'd be like the whole music would change and everything, and it'd be like some joke from Scott Lang. And it's like, okay, but it happens so often, like sometimes so often close together. It felt like I was getting whiplash going back and forth from it, trying to
I get
be
that.
like because at the end of the day, we're dealing with Kang. This is meant to be like a quite a serious turning point in the MCU, and like tone wise, like oh shit, we're dealing with someone bad, and then it'd be like, oh, psych, here's a random jokey comment. Oh no, we're right back to being serious again. It's like, hang on, that was throwing me off a little bit. Like I'm fine with it at like I don't know. There was parts with Modoc it happened, which I don't know. Maybe I'm just
No, I think that's a valid criticism. I didn't mind it per se, but I can see why people would feel that way for sure.
it didn't
Um,
always. I was just certain moments felt
yeah, no,
more so than others.
100%. A consistent tone in a film is quite important, and if it feels like it's jumping about too much, that's an issue. And I mean, everyone will have different tolerances for how much you can do
Yeah,
that. Um, and it's difficult to get it right, but like, no one's gonna ever go, "Oh, you didn't cut tones often enough," but people are gonna go, "You've done it too much." So, um, I will say, Jonathan Majors. I mean, to
carried.
quote you, is that fucking guy.
He is. He carried that film, in my opinion.
Um, we'll go into the post credit scenes in a bit of detail here, but I'm going to mention obviously the Councillor Kang's one.
Hmm.
That might be the first ever time I have watched a scene with the same actor playing three different characters and not been very aware that it's the same actor because he really
Oh,
did give three different performances for them characters.
yeah. Each of those, like, I'm going to call them tier one Kangs
Mm.
because they seem to be like the head
Yeah,
Kangs.
you've got Ramatut, who I
Yeah.
mentioned in the Kang profile. I forget what one of the other ones was called. I think one of them was a Mortis.
Yeah. Immortus, I
So
think,
yeah,
is the purple
they're,
one.
they're,
The one with the
they're more
glowy
famous Kang
lines,
variants.
from what I've seen online, is might be Prime Kang, but it could also be a Kang they've made up because he doesn't match what Prime
Yeah.
Kang looks like.
But very, very cool
But
character
also on
designs.
that, when we got the scene of all the Kangs coming in, and there was like the fact that he has done each of those takes, obviously, and like he is able to make that many different Kangs in a way. Like there were very small, minute moments, but like he still was able to give us a multitude of like styles or personalities in a few seconds. I
Yeah.
have to say, I've seen the comparison online, but like there's a panel from a comic book of the Council of Kangs
Hmm.
and from the stand, and it actually matches up almost perfectly with what we saw with like the placement of we got an alien looking Kang
Yeah.
and like a
They had some fun with that for sure.
um obviously that people have already started trying to be like there was a red one out in the sand level area that
Hmm.
people are thinking is is it Scarlet Kang or
Hmm.
there's one that's in a suit that people are thinking is Kang Industries CEO,
Yeah.
who people are now wondering is that who bought Stark Tower?
Hmm.
Uh
There's some shenanigans going on for sure.
yeah. Now I have a theory. I don't
Go on.
think Kang the Conqueror is dead.
Okay, so is this you didn't think he was dead and then you've seen the prevailing theory online? Or have you not got further than you don't think he's actually dead?
I haven't looked what the theory is online. My
Cool.
thought was just the thing that he got sucked into is what Scott went into, and it's what was it called? A vortex or something, time
Yeah.
vortex or whatever. I'm was just like, I don't think he's dead. I think he's trapped in there. Whether like we ever see him again, I don't know. Maybe he's permanently trapped. Like that is him done. But I don't think he
So
died.
there are rumors circulating that in Secret War, Jonathan Majors will also be playing the character of the Beyonder.
Okay.
So the Beyonder is mega powerful being
Mm-hmm.
and is not a Kang variant in the
Oh.
comics. So there'd be
Okay.
no reason for Jonathan Majors to play him. Unless they found a way to give a Kang them powers. Like being sucked into a mega powerful battery that gives you the ability to travel through space and time.
Okay.
So people are wondering if that Kang is going to come out of that as the Beyonder.
Possibly.
Which is
I just
something I can see happening.
I just wondered if he was to come back, he's just like he comes back as a stronger Kang the Conqueror.
No, I think if that Kang is still alive, the Beyonder theory is probably the most credible.
Okay.
Um, Especially with the rumors that Jonathan Majors is set up to play the Beyonder anyway. That just kind of tracks the best.
I
But it could
just
be one of them things where the internet tries to shoehorn two bits of information into each other.
I think mine is just like it's like we've seen now that people getting sucked down in the quantum realm is just them getting smaller. So there's always a possibility they come back.
Yeah,
And I think the fact that this Kang was clearly banished and for whatever they felt was a more dangerous Kang kind of maybe gives more credit to like him coming back as being like their big bad. Like
maybe.
Kang, I think the Council of Kangs is gonna be Kang Dynasty. That's what that film is, them being the big bad, the collective.
Maybe.
And then whether we get this Kang the Conqueror turns into the Beyonder or there is a more powerful Kang is the end game Kang that they're gonna fight.
It's there's a lot to unravel. Overall, I enjoyed it. Obviously, we
Mhm.
got a Loki season 2 teaser as the second post credit scene.
Yes, with another Kang
Um,
variant.
so I wonder if that's going to be kind of a Kang of the Week style series where they're hunting down a different Kang every week.
I get the sense it's less them hunting down Kangs, but more trying to learn more about the Kangs.
Oh, maybe.
So they're like going through history, finding them, and to kind of get an understanding of the level of good Kang versus ultra bad Kang and everything in between.
Yeah. What is the spectrum of like how bad is this guy on his good day versus his worst day?
Yeah, like what are we gonna be dealing with here?
It would be interesting to me if they infiltrate the Council of Kangs.
Mm,
That could
like
be a really fun way to show off different Kang variants and give
I
us a bit of tease of what might be to come.
I do think it's gonna be a way for them to kind of have a bit of fun with Kang variants. There's obviously gonna be something about because remember he returns to a TVA that now has a Kang statue, so there is a Kang
Hmm.
variant here who's going to deal with there. So him and Morbius, I think this is like a bit of a secret mission away from TVA
Yeah.
that they're doing. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's teaser for Loki season 2. I loved that we got the whole Kang will return.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think what else went down.
Um. So one thing I didn't realize during the film, but was spoken about a lot online, was Cassie said "dad" a lot.
Hmm,
Someone clocked it. She, on average, throughout the entire film, says "dad" every 3 minutes.
interesting.
Bearing in mind she's not in every scene of the film as well.
Yeah,
So that's the full runtime of the film divided by how many times she says "dad." Is something like 3 minutes.
that's a that's a lot.
But I mean, some people said they felt like she was saying it a lot while watching the film. I didn't notice it during the film.
I wouldn't say I came out and was like, "Gosh, she kept going on about dad."
Yeah. So I don't
See,
know. I've got that seems like a nitpicky thing that people have done.
maybe. Do you know what I think? If that was the case, and like me and you didn't notice that, but it was like more so them trying to show this like strength of this, like there's this real strong bond between her and like
Yeah.
Scott and Cassie. Again, leans me to be like, it feels like they were supposed to kill him off
Mm-hmm.
because then we would have felt it more, so much more for Cassie.
Yeah, it does feel like some edits changed bits of this film pretty drastically. Um, Overall, I'm giving it like a 6, 7 out of 10. It
Yeah,
didn't do
I give it
anything
like a 7.
horrifically. It didn't do anything brilliantly. It was a comic book film. It was fun.
Yeah, I saw one thing which was someone was like, "Oh, this is Kang should never have been the enemy. It should have just been a MODOK being the bad guy." But then I'm like, at the end of the day, this was never meant to be a Ant-Man and his baddie. It was like this is meant to be setting up who the fuck we're dealing with now, and I
Yeah,
think it did do that perfectly. Like we now have a much better understanding of how strong Kang is, and he's not even like the number one top Kang. This idea that there is a fuck ton of Kangs. And we also now have a much better understanding of the quantum realm, which overall, by the way, quantum realm looked sick.
yeah.
I,
People complaining about the visuals for this film are weird, in my opinion. I
I,
think it looked phenomenal.
the weirdest take I've seen on Twitter was someone going, "These are filmed in the same technique on the volume, and it's the Batman rooftop scene, um, from the Batman Matt Reeves one, and then it's
Okay,
them three, Cassie, Hope, and Ant Man when they're stood together as the three on the bridge." And it's like, okay, yeah, one
but
is
they're
a
also
root.
trying to do completely different
Well,
things.
the best thing was, it's like someone was trying to compare them, and I was like, it's such a dumb take because it's one is a rooftop, which is we have thousands of like hundreds of thousands of hours of like reference. You can go and reference that. The quantum realm doesn't fucking exist to reference.
Yeah,
Like, what do you want? Like, we don't know what the lighting's like in the quantum realm. We don't know what the like people like not just accepting that the quantum realm is this like fantasy, like wild and wacky world of just makeshift shit. I thought the amount of variety in like character designs that they came up with was amazing. I loved the way like they had all the different like everything was much more organic. Like the ships and everything. I lo- I'm sorry, but we need to make that goo drink IRL. Like, imagine you could drink a goo drink and like just everyone can understand each other.
yeah. I mean, I get that the world changes, And I get nothing is always popular. Everyone turns on stuff eventually. Just like, I mean, I've done with the Fast and Furious franchise, for instance.
Yeah.
But I feel like the stuff people are pulling up Marvel films on now is stuff they didn't give a fuck about originally. And it's just the MCU's got to a point where it's cool to hate it. Kind of like we saw with Fortnite, stupid as it sounds. Everyone loved Fortnite. Everyone played Fortnite.
Well, it's
No
just
one,
that's
no one said Fortnite was cringe.
that is
And then
internet
just all
culture
of a sudden,
nowadays.
overnight, everyone was like, "Nah, you're still playing Fortnite? That's for babies." It's like, bro, you were playing it with me last week.
Oh yeah, that's just internet culture. Unfortunately, it's like for the majority, it's just a loud minority who will hate on things because it's cooler to hate on it now because it's the different opinion,
Yeah,
and then it'll get to a point again where it's like, oh, no, Marvel films are sick. We love Marvel.
and it is always nostalgia fueled as well.
Yes, I will say with the Quantum Realm, that quite clearly felt like, okay, here is an ally setup that is going to be used down the line. 100%. We're going to get like they are called on, and we're going to see some of those Quantum Realm characters back again. The goo boy
Um,
who got holes.
Now we have one very important matter about the film to discuss.
Oh, okay.
Did Kang clap Janet's cheeks?
No, Kang didn't. Do you know
No,
who
you don't
did?
think so?
Your
Okay, no, but you're forgetting something very important. She didn't meet him until after Kang had already landed. And they worked on that ship alone together for a long time. And a woman has
nah.
needs.
I think no, because
I think you're in the minority if you think they didn't.
I don't think her and Kang did. I think she did with what do you call
Bill
the old
Murray's character.
yeah, Bill Murray.
I
Because
I
he is more
I think
eccentric, a bit like Hank.
I think before she knew Kang was a giant piece of shit, her and Kang got a bit busy.
Maybe.
Bit of
I
pouch.
was more of the opinion she did it with Bill Murray's.
Oh no, she did, but I think before she met Bill Murray's character, there was there was still a, pardon the pun, hole to be filled, and she hadn't met him yet.
I think she has also had a weird quantum alien experience.
Referee.
We saw those things that Hank put his hands in to fly the ship. There's plenty, I'm sure, other appendages.
Okay, we're
Okay,
this guy. Yeah, this is going in a techie direction.